house down, accessed. So that's evidence.
Yes, all right.
And then in 8 days in solitary confinement, I couldn't see anybody. I was in a room without electricity, without water, without a toilet. And literally, basically, how can you put somebody in the dark room for 8 days? For what? It's there. And it had to take a court ruling the 8th day to take me out of that location and basically move me to an ordinary prison. And there's a court ruling to that. There's evidence. And the court ruling talks to this issue.
Given your treatment, would you say that you emerged from your detention fearful, intimidated, in a sense, in a way that you weren't before?
I'm not intimidated, Stephen. Maybe the intention was to break me down. We're not broken because we understood, we expected that a government like the one we have in Zambia could do things like this. The signs or the writing was on the wall. But really, we emerged stronger. And I've said before, I repeat it 10 times stronger.
Well, interestingly, you say you emerged stronger, but you also emerged making noises about conciliation. I mean, as I said, you saw the Secretary-General of the Commonwealth, Baroness Scotland, who was instrumental in your release. And after your release, you said, and I'm quoting you directly, "It is our collective duty to bring unity to our country. We cannot run a country like this. We are currently so divided." So you saw the wisdom there of collective action, presumably dialogue, to unify the country. Do you still feel that way today?
Absolutely. And my message was in reference to specific things, Stephen, that need to be fixed, that need to be corrected, so that we don't continue with a negative situation. But we can talk about it.
Well, yes, we will. But if you want to, I just want to go through this quite forensically. If you want to unify the country, is it not time for you to drop your insistence that the president is illegitimate and the election was a fraud?
You could see it that way. The other way of seeing it is that the constitutional right of disputing elections, which is via an electoral presidential petition, must be respected because that's a constitutional provision. So the rule of law with regard to the remedies that are available to anyone.
Well, as I understand it, the Constitutional Court looked at your arguments and threw them out.
Not at all. That's the irony of it. Our petition has not been heard, Stephen. Well, that's a fact.
It has been before a court. I know that for a fact.
Yes.
Yes. So you've had your day in court. The court, in the end, chose not to take up your petition.
No. The basic constitutional provision under the Bill of Rights, Stephen, is that every citizen or a group of citizens that feel aggrieved about anything have a right to go to court, and the court has an obligation to hear their matter, not to just admit the concern or the petition, but to hear it. Well, the petition has not been heard.
The court took the decision to throw out your petition, but the bottom line surely is that under most circumstances, the international norm is that governments around the world take a view as to whether an election is deemed to be fair and reasonable, legitimate or not. And the clear collective view in the case of Zambia, the election of 2016, it was regarded as acceptable. The United States of America, the Undersecretary of State for African Affairs, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, she congratulated Mr. Lungu on his re-election, saying it was a clear manifestation of the will of the Zambian people. The UK High Commissioner, he sent a message, actually this year, on the Queen's birthday, calling on respect for the head of state, a clear signal the UK respects the position of Mr. Lungu. President Zuma of South Africa cordially invited President Lungu to South Africa in a sign of his belief in the credibility of that election.
You could say so, and maybe you could be heard and heard loudly if what you have said was not challenged by the Kenyan Constitutional Court ruling over the last election in Kenya, not the current issues going on, but just before that nullified the Kenyan election, which included basically discrediting such comments from international observers. What matters is to follow the rule of law to ensure that the petition is heard, not just submitted. That, I think that's what is important. And the Kenyan ruling has demystified those views. Remember, former Secretary of State John Kerry rendered an apology in the Kenyan situation because similar sentiments were passed. The important things that the Constitutional Court should have had our petition. And then the issue of recognition, the issue of whether or not the election was free and fair would have been resolved squarely. And nobody would complain about it.